Good afternoon. Welcome to today's event with Megabyt, the Shriner Klown. My name's Gail Roy. I'm the library director at Northern Maine Community College in Presque Isle, Maine. I'll be co-hosting today's event with Liz Phillips, library director at Washington County Community College in Calais, Maine. And we'll also be joined by librarian John Levitt from Washington County Community College. Northern Maine Community College Library and the Washington County Community College Library have partnered to offer 4 virtual events this semester. You can find information about these events and how to register on our Facebook pages, our LibGuides, and we'll share links in the chat section. We'll be using the chat feature for questions and comments. For best viewing, we ask that you use speaker view. It's in the top right-hand corner, and you just click on view to select. And we ask that everyone remain on mute. We are recording today's event, and the chat will also be recorded. I would like to introduce today's presenter. It is my great pleasure to introduce Sean Leahy and Megabyt the Klown. Sean is an IT professional and he currently works as a programmer at MMG Insurance in Presque Isle, Maine. He earned his associate's degree in computer information systems at Northern Maine Community College, a bachelor's of science degree in computer information systems, and his master's degree in business administration from Husson University. He has taught as an adjunct faculty member at Northern Maine Community College and Husson University. He is a Freemason, a Master Mason at Trinity Lodge 130 in Presque Isle, Maine. He has been a lodge officer since January 2014. He's active on many committees and community outreach programs. He's also served as president of the Central Aroostook Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and is or has been active in many local organizations such as the Northern Maine Community College Alumni and Friends Organization, Special Olympics, and area events. His most active role in the community is with the Anna Temple Shrine, part of Shriners International. And we all know about the wonderful philanthropic work the Shriners do to support Shriners Children's Hospitals throughout the country. The Shriner Klowns are an important part of the fundraising that is done for the Shriners, as they often are the face of the fun things the organization does to raise money for Shriners' causes. If you have ever attended a shrine circus, been to a parade almost anywhere in Maine, or experienced an event with Shriner Klowns, you have seen firsthand the work that they do. Megabyt, the Anna Shriner Klown, was created by Sean in 2014 to support the organization's mission. Sean, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us today to show us how you transform into Megabyt, the Shriner Klown. It's right before Halloween, and we're all hoping we can pick up a few good makeup tips from you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hopefully I can provide a few good makeup tips. So thank you. This is fun, and it's also a little bit nerve-wracking trying to do this virtually, because usually we do it in person. And seeing myself on the screen like this it's a little strange, actually. Normally I just kind of sit in front of a mirror, and now I get to see all your reactions right up close. So hopefully it works out well. But before I get started with the whole transformation part, I just want to give a little bit of history as to how Megabyt was born. And I'll touch on the hair actually in just a moment. But my wife wasn't my wife at the time, but my wife started volunteering at the cotton candy booth at the Shrine Circus here in Presque Isle, and as part of Phi Theta Kappa at Northern Maine Community College, actually. So I went along with her, and the whole family actually went along, and we volunteered at the cotton candy booth for about 2 years. And the more and more I got to see what was happening and understanding more about what the Shriners did, I really got more interested in becoming involved. So it really started as a volunteer effort at the cotton candy booth, and then transformed itself into I became a Freemason and a Shriner and all of these other things. So I'll put this back. I'll put it on here at the end. But if you notice, my hair that I use as part of my costume is very cotton candy looking. That's why it will always stay that way as long as I can still buy a wig like that. Because that's really where it got started. So I just like to let people know that, just because, it seems like there may be a barrier to entry or things like that. But if any other gentleman wants to become a clown, you may end up starting somewhere else and getting there eventually. Um, so please ask questions as I go through, because there will be spots where it gets weird because I'll get silent because I'm focusing on getting some things on. But basically, as we go through, I will be pretty much getting ready as though I were going to a circus or a parade or anything else. And you'd be surprised how much of this stuff that you can buy right at Walmart or Target or anywhere else. The only real thing, or the only thing that really comes from a supply store, would be the Clown White. It's a grease-based paint. And I say it's grease-based because it is very greasy, but it's not any regular white paint. You can actually get this in a lot of the costumes now, or the prepackaged things that you can buy at Walmart or whatever for costumes. They actually have gone to more of a grease-based paint instead of just that face paint for kids that just comes right off. So generally speaking, when we put this stuff on, it will last until we take it off. So if we're talking about circus days, a lot of times I'm up and ready by 5 a.m. and the makeup doesn't come off until about 10 p.m. and that stays just perfect the whole time. So it's pretty durable and it's pretty amazing. So really the only other pieces, I mean, some of these things, this is just, I don't even know what some of this stuff is called still. I'm 6 years in and I just know how to put it on. I have no idea what it's called. But this one is a liquid eyeliner that I can use for details. Buy those right at the store. This Scandalize eyebrow pencil is what I call it. It's not really intended for that, but I use that for eyebrows and details. And really, I'm just looking through all my makeup kit. I do own more makeup than my wife, and I'm proud of that. But a lot of the things that you can pick up and do, you can just grab right in town. So if you're interested in becoming a clown for Halloween, as an example, short of the grease paint, you can probably find everything right in the Walmart beauty aisle. That's more than once I've been there myself. So, and it gets a little weird when there's 3 or 4 guys all together in the makeup aisle talking about all the different makeup styles. But it's fun. So the first thing that I do to get ready, because when you put the makeup on, the white goes all over because I'm a white face clown. So there's basically 3 different styles. There's the white face, the goose, and the hobo or tramp. So they do have different purposes and different rationales behind them. The white face is more of a prim and proper, very symmetrical looking, usually in their look. It may be wild, but usually, you get maybe a half green, a half purple. I'm just picking from another clown, and his costume is directly in half. But it's very, very clean line, very just proper to it. So that goes with that face. Now I do have kind of a character mode to mine, whereas I'm Megabyt the Clown, and everything in my costume is very game related, computer related, things like that. And that's just because of my background in playing games as a kid and being a computer programmer and an IT guy for years. So I do have an electronic sort of a name badge. So it's an LED name badge. It's those little details that you figure out over the years that you can just add to it. But really, the basis of it all is the white face. Some of the things that you have to remember, though, because when you put all your makeup on and you're looking at somebody, your face basically is this much. So anything you do beyond your eyebrow line and basically right in between your cheekbones, that's what people see. They don't see the stuff outside of here because you have a wig in the way or you have all of these other things. So really making a face is just anything in between my hands right here. So when it boils down to it, it can be pretty simple. So one trick that I've learned from other clowns, because you'll find makeup tips through a bunch of guys. Sorry if I get a little close, but normally I have a mirror and today I'm using a camera. So part of my smile includes, I use square ends. A lot of guys use round ends because you have that round dot to your smile. Being a computer guy, pixels, I use a lot of squares. So I actually use squares for my mouth. And so this will be, if you look, well, I wish I had had a picture right here, but if you look at the face, I have a square top and then my mouth comes down like this. So rather than put all the makeup on and try and get things out of the way and readjust, we just put some Band-Aids there. You buy those anywhere. You go around it, take them off, and it's all clean. It's great and wonderful. So really, I'm going to do this the best that I can. So really, after that, it's just kind of making sure that you hide your eyebrows the best you can. So you work that in, and then you get started. So knowing that a lot of my face, or the top of my head, sorry, will be covered by a wig, you don't have to go the whole way, but you have to get, up there. And you kind of work this around. As you work the makeup in, it actually will kind of get into your pores a little bit, which is good. But you'll start to see that it doesn't take a lot of makeup to really cover your face. It's this little tube is 2.25 ounces. And I could probably get through 3/4 of the clown season with just that little bit of makeup. So it spreads pretty well. And again, if you go grab some of the stuff at Walmart or Target or any other place that's selling stuff right now for Halloween, you'll probably find something that's also grease-based. And it looks like, yeah, there's definitely not enough there. There's enough there. It's just in how you apply it. So as we go through and kind of get all the areas, and because I've been doing this so long, I'm kind of doing this by memory right now because I got this bit of light here. There we go. I might actually move that. There we go. So I don't know how well you can see it, but you can see that there's little spots that may be a little bit, less covered. And all you have to do is kind of dot that around and dab that in. Rather than smearing it and getting a bunch more smudges, that just clears it up a little bit. So you continue on, you get all of your pieces and parts in there to make sure that your face is pretty much ready. And one of the things that you'll notice as you go through this and you do this more, your natural face shape will determine your clown face. So every face is unique. And by that, I mean every clown face, but also every actual face is unique. So when you start to use your natural face lines, so when you smile, you want to make sure that that's kind of pulling your smile. So as you draw in the red, you just kind of, okay, that's kind of where you want your smile to be. You want some creases there. And down here, as you're talking, you want this to be able to move with your mouth. So you need to follow your face shape as much as you can. I'm going to send Gail a couple of videos that I didn't send already, and I apologize for that because I meant to do it before today. But those other styles that I was talking about, those really utilize the face shape even more, because the goose style, that uses more of a pink or orange tone with a white and generally black sort of thing around the muzzle. And then they have a white around the eyes. It originated, I think, in Italy years ago. So that's kind of where that goes in the way of being different. So if you look at a clown that has just the white and they have a lot of pink or orange filling in the gaps, that's an goose. And then the hobos and tramps, they usually have a much darker complexion to their face, and they have very exaggerated eyebrows, and they do a little bit of that same white muzzle, but a lot of times there's a drawn on beard or something like that. And that's because the hobo and tramp is generally down on their luck, or they live on the rails or whatever it is, and they're really dirty. They don't get to shower. So the only spots that have white is when they cross their mouth. In reality, that's the cleanest place they have, because they're always crossing their mouth to eat or wiping their eyes to get the soot out of it. So you'll see white bits around those two areas. So it's kind of a combination of the two. So the white face is the one that takes obviously the most amount of white, but it takes the the element of detail out in way of getting this on so it's quick and easy to put on. But then you can add the details back as you go in. So depending how you want your face to look, and normally I would go all the way down my neck, but for the sake of time and cleanliness, I'm just going to do the face part of it. So as you go through and you start to put your face together, thinking of all those elements at the same time, you can really get a good sense of how your face is going to be unique compared to other white faces or other clowns in general. So I have a bit of a rounder face naturally, very round head, even though that doesn't count. So I utilize that to my advantage. So when I start thinking about my face shape, knowing that this is round, that's part of the reason I use the squares. It gives it a little bit of a subtle difference, and it makes it just that much more unique in its look. And then I'll start to look at things like my cheekbones. So I've got, you know, some area to work with here. So I use a blue freckle is what it is. So I'll put freckles here just to break up the white a little bit. I use some eyeshadow just to break that up. And when you put a little bit of color underneath your eyebrows, you'd be surprised how much it takes away from them, so people don't actually see your real eyebrows. So the last piece to that, once I've got most of this on, this isn't complete, is, sorry about that, is drawing on the eyebrows. So for the sake of time, I can have a bottle of water, but in reality, you just have to have some sort of a wet application. You can use a makeup remover or things like that. Sorry, I just go ahead and use what's available to me. So right up above the natural eyebrow line is where I put my eyebrow, because one, it fits my face shape, but also I can be expressive with it. So if I go up too much, you're not going to see a lot of that. And I actually started there. My eyebrows were very hooked. And if I did this, you really wouldn't see any difference. So as we went through the years, it came down, it got longer, it got more across my actual eyebrow line. And then you try to make them match the best you can. Sometimes I put a little crook in there. And if you do it wrong, it's okay. Because now that it's wet, I can just start over. Blank canvas. Try again. Don't lick the already makeup side. I've done that. It's gross. So if I get something a little closer to the other eyebrow, and I do always put a slight crook in there. I don't know why. It's just habit. And after all these years, I can't stop it. So my eyebrows are ready to draw on. What I'll do is when I get all of the white together, you actually use baby powder to get it set in, and that's what kind of keeps it there forever. And so if I kind of face, yeah, okay, yeah, I can make some expressions, good to go. My eyebrows are ready. So what I'll do is when I put when I put the powder on, I'll get all the excess powder off and then fill that in with the blue, because I use blue eyebrows because I have blue hair. So obviously you have to have blue eyebrows. And then the same thing with the mouth. So what I do here is get it to almost exactly where I want it. And when I feel comfortable with that being an okay mouth, remembering that these are going to come off and be part of it, so there we go, mostly even. I can be expressive and it's going to work. So at that point, you can kind of do some of the finite detail, because once you put the powder on here, it's pretty much, that's the way it is. There's no going back once you've got it set, because it just kind of ruins it. So you have all this opportunity while it's wet to make it change, shift, and all of those things. Once you put the powder on, you're pretty much done with that section. Now, some guys, they choose to do all of it at once and powder once. I like to do the white first and then do the other two colors, just so nothing gets bled into each other. I just feel like the lines are a little more crisper in my style. So it's completely up to you. But that is the secret to even an eyebrow pencil. So if you want to draw your eyebrows on and make some ridiculously bushy eyebrows as part of a Halloween costume, you can put that on and go up over your natural hair. Put a little bit of baby powder on that. Spray the spray the powder off. I'll go through that in just a second. Spray the powder off after, and that will last surprisingly long. So this is the basis of my face. And again, going back to this is the part everybody sees. You'll notice that the eyebrows are staying within that, the smile is staying within that, and then the details that I put on after will stay within that. So that's really where you want to be. I also leave this part open, one, because it conserves makeup, but also because once I put the nose on, nobody's going to see it, and I need something to glue to. It doesn't glue to makeup very well. So we leave that open, and we leave it available for some glue to touch. So that is essentially getting the face on. So now I'm gonna hopefully entertain some questions. If you want to ask some questions, I'm gonna do a little bit of the details, but we can keep going and make some progress here. So I know, Gail, you had some questions, or Liz, but go right ahead and fire away.
I want to
have
know.
a question.
Oh, go ahead, Pam.
It's been a long time since I did theater makeup, but we used to put face cream underneath the base and it would make it come off more easily at the end of a show. Do you do that? I don't know if I missed that.
Some do. I don't personally, because I use I use either a makeup wipe, baby oil, or both. When you reconstitute it as a grease using baby oil, it comes right off pretty much just the same way as having cream underneath. And then on the real hot days when you've been in a 95-degree parade, a makeup wipe will take that right off anyway, just because of the sweat that's built up underneath. Yeah, absolutely is possible, and works fairly well for some.
Great. Tell us, Sean, tell us what you love about being a clown, like some of your favorite moments. I've seen you at the circus. I've seen you at events in town. The kids love the Shriner clowns when they come through. What is it you love about being a clown?
That right there, the fact that the kids just they love it and they associate with it. And for the last few years, we've been adding quite a few clowns, which is great. But all kids have their favorite, and whether or not it's because I'm like their height, so they love me because they think that I'm basically one of them, and a lot of times I am. But it's somebody that they already know, or whatever it is. Or when we use the character approach, Megabyt games, video games, computer kids, those kids that are really interested in that, they gravitate towards that because I have Minecraft on my costume, and I have Zelda and Mario and all these things that they're interested in. And the fact that sometimes a kid that will sit there, and generally it's a younger kid, but a kid that will sit there at the circus or at a parade or whatever else, they see you and they light up, that moment, that makes it worth it. And then being a Shriner, so that's just the clown part, but being a Shriner, and going to the hospitals and seeing what the hospitals do for those kids, even as a clown not in makeup, they find out that you're a clown and you maybe give them a clown card. That again just makes them light up. It changes their day, and if it can change it for a couple minutes, that's worth it. Every couple minutes that I see somebody change is worth years of me doing this. So I think that's what a lot of us are actually in it for.
Excellent. Thank you. Tell us about the clown cards.
Yeah, so sorry, that's just like when you're eating and the waitress asks how your meal is. So so the clown cards are something that they were around since way before I became a clown, but it's something that we can give out to them. And so in this one, because I'm computer related, it's very Pac-Man looking, and I put a lot of finite details in there that mean something to me. But it was my 5th card, so there's 5 little Pac-Man and things like that. The ghosts actually represent my 3 kids and my wife. The Pac-Man is a Megabyt, things like that. So it gives us a chance to be creative, but it also kind of gives you an opportunity to say, this is who I am. I'm a real person. this is my name. This is how you can find me. Here's some things that may be important to you, things like that. But it gives you an opportunity to give that to a kid. And that's a kind of, it's actually become, at least locally, one of those things that everybody looks forward to. They're like, oh, Klown. And instead of just giving a balloon that pops, they get to actually keep this. And so a lot of children have card collections. I have card collections too, honestly. I have a whole stack of them in that back there, because I'm just as big a fan of clowns as kids are. So it gives them something to look at and look forward to and bring back with them. And hopefully, you know, it reminds them of that experience when they were able to laugh a little bit, or just see somebody be silly and do the chicken dance, things like that. So it just, hopefully it becomes a reminder for them, and it's fun for us.
Right.
Give out a card and just see
I
that
have my
expression.
clown card right here.
So what else do you have for questions? I'm going to mess with my mouth real quick, but I'll be able to answer one shortly.
I've seen
Are
you
the
make
places where
wonderful
you put the
balloons.
square your natural skin?
Say that again.
Are the places where you put the squares of tape, is that your natural skin?
Yeah, so when I took that off, that paint doesn't go through those Band-Aids, and that is the top of my smile.
Yeah.
And so that will end up, so these will get filled in with blue, this will get filled in with red.
Oh, and that's part of the red for your
Yep.
mouth. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can put the red over the white, but it always seems to just kind of dull it. And so
Yeah,
when you put the natural colors on the natural skin, it makes it pop a little more. And I know I don't have everything quite even, but that's okay, because, you know, it's digital, so we can Photoshop that later.
Mhm.
But that's my basic face. So this is where we
I have a question about the eyebrows. Why don't
yes.
you use your natural eyebrows? And is there a reason why it's placed further up?
Yeah, actually, it's because it's a little more goofy looking. That's really the way, because it's a little higher than it normally would. In the case of my face, we do a lot of parades, and so in the case of my face, I want the eyebrows to show over the sunglasses that I'll wear. So the sunglasses end up here, and you get to see some eyebrows peeking out. But when you use your eyebrows, it's fine, and a lot of guys in their face will. But with the white face, if you cover yours and you get a little bit more higher up on the forehead, when you put the face together, it starts to look a little more symmetrical, because your smile is up a little higher. Now your eyebrows are up a little higher, and then the hair kind of squashes everything. So that way you have that symmetrical look. And that's what fits the white face, is that reasoning. The goose, their eyes and eyebrows will generally come up almost sometimes into the middle of their forehead before you even see their eyebrow, because they have a longer face in their look. So it really all depends on the style. So this is the fun part. This is the messy part, actually. So as everything gets together and you get all of your white set and your lines are as crisp as you can, and I know these aren't the greatest, but they're going to do for the purpose of this. So I'm comfortable with where it is. Just some white baby powder. Make sure that it's not cornstarch. Again, if you're going to use some of these tips for Halloween, don't use cornstarch baby powder, because it will turn everything white yellow. So some have found that out the hard way. But I use a car wash mitt. You can use a sock, a shirt, whatever it is. But I put a little bit on the car wash mitt, and then you just kind of pat your face. Don't rub, don't smear, just pat. So when you do that, what you're actually doing is you're wow, sorry about that. So you're changing the grease to a more solid approach, but also you're really pushing that, by patting that, you're really pushing that down to make sure it's kind of setting. I mean, sad to say, but you're kind of clogging your pores, and that's okay, because you don't want to sweat it off. So a little layer of powder. You try not to breathe in as much as possible. And then once you've got it, for the most part, on there, A lot of times I'll let it set for 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 or 6 maybe. If I know it's going to be a long hot parade, I'll let it sit longer. And because I'm not going to keep this on all day, because I do have a class to teach tonight, even though that'd probably be fun. Just a regular makeup brush. You brush all the excess off. And again, this is part of the thing that will get that into the pores and really get that to set. When you've got that down, to basically being the paint again, I could go out right now with an incomplete face, but I could go stand in the middle of a sprinkler and this is not going to come off until I really want it to.
Wow.
There's actually, it's a story that's been circulating around throughout the Clowns for the last couple of years. A friend of mine from Bangor, Clown there, he went swimming between circus shows, jumped in the pool with his entire face on, swam for a while, got back out, put his clothes on, came back to the circus. Didn't know the difference. So the other thing, and don't be surprised if I look shocked, even though every time I do this, I should be prepared. It always shocks me when that cold water comes out. So to get the rest of the paint off, excuse me, the powder off, just a quick spray. Oh, goodness. And then again, dab and pat. So that, because I'm a white face, I really don't care about the rest because it's already white, but that is mostly to make sure that there's no excess powder on these places I'm going to fill in with other colors because I don't want to dull it. I want to make it as sharp as possible. So there you go. That's the basis of Megabyt. We're ready to go. So now it's the details.
Wow.
So do the best I can in a camera view. I've never done this before, so I'm crossing that off my clown bucket list.
Great.
So there's one eyebrow. Another eyebrow. And lots of expressionism to them. So feel good with that. Now, if I didn't like it, it's a lot harder to take it off now. And this is why sometimes the other guys will do it all together. But if I didn't like it, I could take a Q-tip or something else and kind of work it around or change it around. But usually with the eyebrows, they go on pretty well. The other, sorry, just looking for the black. Now, the other thing that is more of a personal preference is whether or not you outline your mouth. I do it just because it kind of breaks up the white a little bit more. So I just take a quick, and depending on if I'm at a parade, it'll be a much thicker blue line because people are so far away. But for the purpose of the camera, which is right here, we'll fix that actually. That little outline kind of breaks the white up in the black. And then we can just take one of these, make sure that it isn't full of paint before we lick it, because we talked about how fun that is. The rest of that will just smear right into the red anyway. So now we're ready to put a mouth on there. Again, this is a grease-based paint. And because I'm not good enough to do that just with my straight 2 fingers or 1 finger, I use a Q-tip. but you can use pretty much any makeup applicator. This is where usually I have some clown music going just to break up the silence.
Has the makeup ever bothered your face? Like if you got it in your eye, or have you had any reactions to it?
I personally have not had reactions, but some have. Even after years and years and years of putting it on, suddenly it doesn't quite agree with them anymore. Similar to like latex. Sometimes everybody's fine with it. We have a latex-based glue, and then suddenly it just is not good. So you can develop it, but personally, I've not experienced that yet. The biggest problem I ever have is when I'm doing things around my eyes. Sometimes I do get the makeup in there and it just waters for a while. Right now I have a tiny little bit of water coming out of the corner here, only because as I was powdering and pushed stuff around, I think I got a little bit in there. So one of the things that does take some getting used to is that when you put this mouth on, you do have to go all the way onto your lip, or else it kind of looks weird. So you can either paint that one white, or in my face, I do the whole lip red on the bottom. And then you have to keep your mouth open so that you don't get it all in your white. So you start to drool some. Now, ready for the powder again.
Wow.
So the powder isn't just for comedic effect. It is actually necessary. Of course, when we get new guys made up for the first time, we make sure to use excessive amounts of powder because it's fun for us. And they're really, excited by that. So again, we'll usually let that set for a few minutes because I'm not going to look to keep this on for the next 12 hours. Again, you kind of brush off that excess. And so majority of the face is done. Again, we'll take off all the extra. Just a little bit of water. That's all that takes. And every time, still surprises me after 6 years. So you see that that's all as bright as it can be. This is pretty much going to stay for the next however many hours I want it to stay. Makeup's applied, it's ready to go. So after this, so every basic white face is going to have this sort of look. They're going to have some eyebrows, they're going to have a smile and a bunch of white. After this, it all becomes the details that you want to add. So over the years, I've modified the look a little. As I mentioned, the eyebrows started really high, and I used to put some little dots underneath just to break up all the white. Because if you look at my eyes right now, they just kind of float amongst the white. So in order to kind of break that up, because you don't want to be scary clown, nobody ever wants to be scary clown. So in an effort to do that, I started adding eyeshadows. And because the basis of my costume is generally green and blue, along with red and yellow and orange and purple, but the green and blue actually kind of work together very well. So I'll throw some green up here real quick. And again, you kind of exaggerate it to meet that higher eyebrow. You go a little bit above where normal eyeshadow would go. And because I'm a clown, you can't always have things match. So I'll do one green and one blue. And so that takes care of the top part of it from being all floaty looking. And then I'll use a little dot. It's supposed to be a clown tear. Sometimes they call it. But when you put it in the middle of your eye, it's not really a tear. Instead, it just gives you a little bit of something else to keep your eyes from being creepy and floating. So that little detail alone, just that slight addition, makes your eyes fit your face, which sounds weird, I know, but. And then the last piece that I usually put on, and I don't know where this started, but I've continued it ever since. I put 3 freckles here to break up the white, generally in a triangular pattern. And for some odd reason, I started putting 4 on the other side, and I've continued to keep that because, again, I'm a clown. Why would I match? And so if we go back to what I said at the beginning, where your face stays within here, your freckles need to stay within there. So if I'm looking at somebody head on, they can see that. Otherwise, it's wasted makeup. There's no reason for it. So this is the Megabyt face in a general sense. Doesn't really come together until you put the rest of it on, though. So that's where we grab my cotton candy hair. And always my favorite part, the nose. And so you go from regular old guy nobody would ever look at on the side of the road to, hey, what the heck is that? And almost crash your car because you're paying attention to what's going on over there. And normally I wouldn't keep the same shirt on, but you go and put all of the rest of your costume on. So in it looks like, because I slowed down a little, roughly 40 minutes from regular guy to ready to hit the circus. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Oh,
Very, very impressive.
that is wonderful.
Yeah, just adding the nose and the hair, so much difference.
See, and that's the little things that you learn as you go through it. And I can still, oh, I didn't put enough glue, I guess. I can still do everything and keep it within that, because as we've learned over the years, anything in there isn't going to get seen anyway.
Mm-hmm. So did you receive any training for this?
Yeah, so we'll call it on-the-job training. I have learned bits and pieces from other clowns, from YouTube, things like that. They do have Clown College, the International Shrine Clown Association, which is intended for Shriner clowns. They're very big into doing education as well. But there is a clown college that you can go to once a year and learn other things about makeup, how to be a clown, how to present things to a child, little things like, you may not think of it, but don't give a balloon to a 1-year-old. They're probably going to eat it. That's not going to work out well. All of those little things that come up. How to hold your hands to be expressive. Those sorts of things. Those are all talked about in Clown College. And they do have actual certificates and awards and all those things. They have competitions for, best makeup, best balloons, all of that stuff. So yeah, there is a lot of learning opportunity.
Now, I've seen the balloons you make, and they're lovely, and you've left some in the library. Was it hard to learn how to do the balloons?
Well, really, the worm and the snake were really super easy. Those were quick, but I'll grab a couple here. So a lot of them really take off from a basis. So a dog, a giraffe, even a cat, all start pretty much the same. And so I really learned it by watching others, and again on YouTube. You can find out a lot on YouTube. As I watch others, and they can teach me. Over there, they teach me things, and some of the techniques they use, you can adapt and put into other things. So a lot of this is, again, on the job training. So you'll find a lot of times a kid will come up and say, hey, can you make an alligator? Well, really, I make this dog a little bit modified, and I make sure it's a green balloon and say, here's an alligator. And they go, thank you. And so it's all about the imagination at that point. But you can get very intricate with them. There's things online that I've seen. I'm really not good at it. I'm not even going to attempt it. But we do have one clown that can make a monkey climbing a tree, including the bananas and the palm tree and everything. So it's all based on how creative you can get.
Wow.
Definitely a big part of being a clown, though. So the worm, the snake, because it's got a little curl in it. Dogs, swords, yep, all of those.
They're wonderful.
Now, I know you had a couple other questions. I have all the time you need.
Okay. Well, we just saw how long it takes you to get ready, and really that before every circus or everything you do, that's a good amount of time. Do you always get ready at home before you go to an event?
No, we've actually destroyed quite a few hotel rooms.
Okay.
With powder. No. Well, we have made a mess of hotel rooms, but we clean it up. So sometimes we are on the go, so we have to do it kind of on the fly. I think once got ready outside of an event. A lot of times get cleaned up outside of events with just the makeup wipes. But yeah, generally it's at home. I do have it's tucked away. I'm not going to try and pull it out of there, but I do have a toolbox full of makeup, basically. That way I can take it on the go, and it's everything that I need to get ready. Including I do have another character that sometimes I do in a hurry. It's a hobo clown. So it has the makeup there for that as well. That one has a completely different look to it. You wouldn't, if you put the two faces side by side, you wouldn't even know it's the same person.
Wow. When you're dressed up as a clown, do you change your voice when you're speaking with children, or do you use your regular voice? When
I
you talk?
generally do use the regular voice, mainly because right now I'm projecting, so it's a little more booming, I guess. But in natural speaking, it's just it feels more comfortable for me, and it feels more comfortable for them, because it's like, hey, that's a regular person talking to me, not some absurd clown with this ridiculously high voice. But you can. We actually have one clown, and again, I'm sending you a couple videos to go with it. But Jumble doesn't speak. That's part of his clown, is that he just doesn't speak. So he communicates in gestures and written notes and things like that. So it's completely up to the character and how it best fits.
Is it hard to make people laugh?
For some folks, yes. Some of us, it becomes a mission. It's funny that you asked that question, because we were recently, yesterday or the day before, we were in Bangor, and there was a group of us eating, not all of us clowns. And you could tell the waitress just didn't want to laugh. She just was not interested in laughing. So it became my mission that I was going to find a way to make her laugh. And she laughed hard. She almost cried. So sometimes it can be difficult, but for the most part, no, it's just being happy and go lucky and whatever else it is that just makes people want to laugh. And sometimes it's just the look.
I have a question. Just very briefly, if you can answer, like, how did it start, the Shriner's Clown? I mean, who's the founder and when did it start?
Oh, excuse me. Shriner started years and years ago. Walter Fleming, I believe, was his name. There was two people actually that did it. There was a doctor and a actor, I want to say, that started. A lot of people have heard of Red Skelton. He's a clown. He's a Shriner clown as well. So it's been decades that Shriner clowns have been around, and it really started mostly because of circuses. You got to have a clown in a circus. As Shriners got more involved with the circuses, clowns got more apparent, like as a need, and so there are groups that were formed. We actually have two in Anna Temple, so we have more than one temple in Maine. So Cora Temple is in the Portland area. They have their own group of clowns. Anna Temple is basically Bangor North, and Anna has two groups of clowns. They have a group that's based out of the Bangor area, and then one that's based out of this area up here in Presque Isle. Just because there's two different circuses and there's lots of needs, and the geographic area to try and cover all that is almost impossible. So as there's more need, there's more clowns.
What do you do?
Wonderful character.
Go ahead.
It's a wonderful character. The transformation is so amazing.
It is, and
it was
sometimes
very
it's still surprising.
interesting. It was really interesting the way you were testing to see that the lines would be in the right place so that it was working with your expressions and your natural facial contours.
And those are the details that you have to, those are really the only things that you have to learn to make your face. And now 6 years ago, it looked nothing like this. I think Gail put in the chat the Facebook page. If you go all the way back to some of the first pictures, the basis was there, but it was round dots instead of square. The nose was a little bit different. I've got a different nose since then because it fits the face better. The eyebrows were way hooked up. They almost went into the hair. So all of those things, they evolve over time because you start to see things, like you said, you have to be a little bit more expressive as a clown. So if you smile, you need to make sure that you're smiling, or if you're frowning, people need to understand that. So using the bits and pieces of your face, it's perfect.
I would walk right by you on the street and not know it was you. And I know you, so that's...
Yeah. I still, to this day, I'll see people that I grew up with even, and they'll look at me like, man, I think I know your voice, but I don't know who you are. So it's kind of great because you can kind of get by and mess with them a little bit. Like, you remember second grade when you stole that candy bar? Like, wait a second. So
when you're driving in your car in your clown costume, have you ever gone to like Tim Hortons Drive Up, or have you gone anywhere on your way to an event? Oh yeah? All
the time. It's actually, we try to get as much use out of the face as we can. When we're made up, we do as much as we can. So we've actually taken over Tim Hortons and Dunkin' Donuts and just started serving coffee and all of those things. We do that quite often. We've gone into US Cellular, Verizon, tested their phones, things like that. Once you get into the character, basically the sky's the limit, and you'd be surprised how much you can get away with because people expect ridiculousness and shenanigans.
Yeah. I know you visit schools and nursing homes, and I've seen the photos on your page, and I think it's wonderful work that you do. Does anyone else have any questions for Sean? Okay, I have one final one. What do you do when people are afraid of clowns?
That is different for every single person, but I don't generally, they're not usually scared of me because I'm so little, I think. I don't know what it is. No, I'm just kidding. The thing that I do for the most part, if somebody's afraid of a clown, if it's a child, I walk away, or depending on gauging, how afraid they are, because they're, I'm scared, or, I'm frightened because I'm crying. If they're crying, I just walk away. I turn and walk off. And if it's something where they're very hesitant, a lot of times I just go, geez, I'm afraid of kids, so I got to get out of here. And they go, wait, what? And so it takes that element of fear out of it. And then again, having a more regular voice. And I mean, I do use my short stature to my advantage. I am pretty much around their size. I always come down to their level. That's one thing that you do as a clown as much as you can, is don't be up above them, and don't be, very surprising and oh my goodness. Just come down to their level and be calm. Be one of them, and it'll get them through the fear a lot easier. When they're adults, depending, if it's somebody I know, then I will antagonize them a little bit, but not to the point where they're going to cry or scream, things like that. But just hey, this is silly to be afraid of clowns. Gail knows exactly one person that I can point to that I used to mess with in the NM library years ago, because she had a fear of clowns, but it was more of a jolly back and forth. And if it ever got to the point where she was actually scared, then you walk away.
Yeah. Great. Anyone else have any questions?
Oh, that was just so enjoyable. It brought back so many good memories, and you were so clear in your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean,
It's
that was
wonderful work
excellent.
to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have fun with it.
Thank you. And I was going to ask the exact same question Gail just did. So that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's the same wavelength.
Oh, that's perfect. Now again, Gail, I'll get you the videos, but we do have a couple other guys that have made videos recently, tutorial type sort of things with the different styles. So one is the hobo look and one's the goose look. So I'll get you those videos and you can put them with this. And I've asked them, it's okay. They have no problem with that. So no, I think anytime that we can spread a little clown education and prove that we go from human to ridiculous, the more we can do that, the better. And like I said, hopefully we have a video out pretty soon of some clowns being ridiculous, because the world needs that right now. We just need a little more happy. So that's what we're here for.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sean. This has been just really wonderful and a pure joy today. And we really appreciate it. And Liz and I will share those links on our library pages and in social media. And I think we would all agree you should teach your class in your clown face.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, it will last. I might go in like this
I
tonight.
think the students would enjoy it. All right. Well, thank you again. And I hope everyone has a great day. And Sean, this was excellent. Really so enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Mm.